Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
We have a special guest here today.
If you can't tell,
Hello.
our dearest friend,
I've come from
Sarah.
Sarah Weimer.
Sarah Weimer.
The popular gal.
Took me forever to learn how to pronounce your last name, to be real.
Really?
Weimer, because I was like Weimer, Weimer,
Yeah.
Weimer. Makes much more sense than...
The names that you were
Well,
making
I
up.
also
yeah.
too feel like I don't tell people my last name. I'm trying to like.
Sarah W.
Well, no, I don't even say W. I just say my
Sarah?
first and my middle name, hoping they'll think that that's
Sarah
my
Ashley?
last name. Mm-hmm.
Whoa, that's
yeah.
a good one.
That,
I don't want to be associated with my last name.
Hopefully your dad's not watching. It's not his fault. He was born with
Yeah.
it too. So,
All right.
we're off topic.
Let's recover.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. We're getting
Happy
into
Tuesday.
it. We have Sarah here.
Yeah, Sarah.
The trio is
The
finally
trio,
here.
Baja Blast.
Baja Blast made it out of the group chat.
Faded out of the group
Into
chat.
the-
Out of the bed of the
Podcast.
truck.
That needs context.
No.
Okay.
Anyways,
We were in the back of a truck bed
getting Baja Blast
at a Taco Bell drive-thru, and that was
at
big,
like 12 a.m.
that was a big bonding moment for the
Yeah.
three of us.
because
That's
who
when I was
puts
like,
us in
homies
the
for life.
who puts somebody in the back of a truck?
A psychopath.
Tragic. Okay, guys, today's episode, as you can tell from the title, probably, hopefully, who knows, talking about mental health stuff.
Yay!
Well, it's fantastic. So,
It's good. It's good. It's good to talk about these things.
yeah, and speaking of that, like always, Sarah, I hope you're excited for this because I'm very excited. Scale of 1 to 10. How are you doing?
Today?
Yeah,
On a scale of 1 to 10. Today.
please elaborate.
I am doing a solid like 8.5.
All right.
Yeah. Today's
Good,
been a
dude.
great day.
Good.
I finished all my work for the week.
Good.
I feel fantastic. Tomorrow, different story.
Whoa.
Today,
Yeah.
8.5.
8.5.
Wow.
All right.
That's great.
I'm glad.
Thank
Happy
you.
for you.
Thank you.
Haley, how are you doing?
How am I doing?
Oh no.
Oh man. No, I'm okay. I think I'm like I'm a 7.
Okay.
Feeling under the weather, but
Little-
you know, it's around
Little
that time.
sicky icky. Yeah, a lot of people are getting sick.
Yeah, I work at a school, so
Stay
that doesn't
away.
help. Germs are everywhere.
For real, I'm like
Stay away, sorry.
sanitizing after
As we're
this.
here at the same couch.
We're cuddled on the couch.
But it's Tuesday, so we're almost through the week.
Yeah.
We gotta get to Friday, you know?
Friday. That was really good.
How about you, Brie?
Let's
Just get her out of
yeah, get her out. I was not doing too hot before I walked in these doors, but then seeing Sarah, seeing you,
Oh.
that brought me up to like an 8.5.
Wow.
So I was probably like a 6 before, so really brought it up there.
Gosh, 2.5
Work
points?
is just like,
No, I feel you, dude. Work is a lot sometimes.
why do people have to, not people, but why do things just have to go wrong all the time?
Aw.
You know? Also, I'm looking at the screen of us like sitting on here and I'm so short. It's just funny, even though Sarah and I
I'm
Yeah, we're
propped
the
up a
same
certain
height,
way.
but
Yeah.
I think the
think,
way that I'm sitting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can't have the feet though, so I'm trying not to get it in there. I think the more we say feet on the podcast, the more feet fetish people will get on here.
So we should just
And
say it.
they're a crowd, so like
You should just edit that out. It should just be bleeped out.
all
Yeah,
the-
just
like when you say
every time you
feet,
say
it's
feet,
bleeped
it's
out.
just bleeped.
Yikes.
Nice.
Gosh darn.
That's too much
The world
work.
that we live in is just
It's a lot of work
horrendous.
to bleep things out, okay? I'm not a paid editor. Anyways,
An assistant.
what? Oh, okay. Question of the week.
Question
Okay,
of the
I have a,
week.
wait. I need to ask Haley which one we should do. So I'm gonna use code names. Okay, should I do the white people's question that I asked before, or should I? Sarah says no, so I'm just gonna pivot
Yeah.
and do the other question.
Pivot hard.
It's also not the most appropriate, but it's also not inappropriate. So,
It's perfect for me.
Very worried.
would you rather
Okay.
fall asleep on the first date or on your wedding night?
What's more realistic for Sarah, or what would I rather do?
First date or your wedding night? Would you rather fall asleep?
I said wedding night.
Yeah.
I actually have a terrible fear that I'm actually gonna fall asleep on my wedding night.
I feel like it's pretty realistic.
I'd say
That's
wedding
what I'm
night.
saying.
You gotta bag them up so that it's already locked in.
Yeah, exactly.
Because first day, if you fall asleep, they're probably not gonna want to go out with you again.
Yeah,
that's true.
Because they think you're boring. But wedding night,
they're
you're already
boring.
married. You're already
Also,
married.
weddings are exhausting.
That's
yeah.
true.
What would I rather do though?
Yeah.
I'd rather fall asleep on the first day.
All right. Let's get into it.
And therapy. Okay, just kidding. But no, we are going to talk about anxiety, mental health, therapy. So let's talk about, because I feel like, I don't know, not that we've all bonded on this, but in a way we kind of have, because we all kind of struggle with like anxiety, a little bit of like depressive thoughts and like that kind of thing.
We're all going to therapy?
We're all going to therapy. So let's talk about that. Like, let's rewind. Let's talk about like where that first. Let's talk about our childhood trauma.
We're gonna be here way too long.
No, but I think like when I think about anxiety, like I don't see or remember anxiety until college.
Oh,
like
wow.
I and like looking back, like sometimes I'll look back on like high school kind of things and I'm like, oh, like was that anxiety or was that just like quirky, you know?
Yeah.
But I think like having a word to put to like my feeling, because I don't think we talked about this in the podcast, but I don't think we talked about anxiety as a normal thing when I was in high school.
Oh yeah. Well, even when I mean you're a couple years older than me, but even when I was like growing up, like mental health really wasn't a thing until I hit high school. But I remember I was a very anxious kid, and I remember like that anxiety for me like manifested itself in panic attacks. And I remember like vividly, like since I was like 6 years old, getting panic attacks all throughout my life, just like having them. I think the hardest part for me is like I didn't know what they were type thing, and so having anxiety as a child is like you don't really know what these things are. And then I grew up with a sibling who had like a very distinguished mental health thing, and so he was being like constantly like treated for it and whatnot, and so it was kind of more of like, well, I don't have that, and I know that I don't have that, so like I just kind of thought what I was dealing with was normal, which kind of made me like a little like, oh, like this is kind of not a happy feeling. And just like thinking to myself that like every time anyone in the world was upset, and I still think this is like the craziest thought to this day, and I think it's so funny because you gotta laugh at the sadness, but I used to think that every time anyone cried, anyone was upset, they would feel like they were dying.
Oh,
jeez Louise.
Like ever since I was 6 years old,
because that's how you felt.
Yeah, because every time I was like really, really emotionally upset, I didn't realize it was my anxiety like manifesting, and it was like telling my body like you are dying, and so I wouldn't be able to breathe. I'd be on the floor.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The second part is like then I would be told like, oh no, like that's how everyone's feeling, because I would be like, this doesn't seem normal, and feel like no, this is how everyone is, like just suck it up.
Jeez.
Figure it out. And so it's like that for me, it was like that was my anxiety as a child, not really knowing. I think now it's really nice that like kids growing up, it's more popular. Yeah. I don't know if that's the right word to describe it.
No, you're right.
Yeah, recognized, I would say.
Yeah. That's a good word for it.
How was your childhood anxiety?
I feel like I didn't, like, similar to Brie, like, I don't think I started to realize, like, anxiety until, like, high school. And then I'd say, like, around, like, probably, like, freshman year of college. No, actually, no. It started in high school, I guess. Like, junior year to, like, I don't know, junior year of high school, I started to, like, have panic attacks, but they weren't, like, out of this world. But it was enough for me to be like, that's not normal. Yeah. But I'm a big person on shoving feelings down. So if we don't recognize it, maybe it'll go away. So I think that also, like, played a part in it, because I would see it, like, panic attacks would get worse and they would become more frequent. Now,
Yeah.
like, I'm able to recognize my feelings even though I don't want to, but you have to in order to move on.
Especially with panic attacks. The
Yeah.
more you shove it down, the more they come up with a vengeance.
Yeah. So listen, learned. But but it's so interesting how I feel like, I don't know, I just can't remember, like I remember having anxiety, but not as much as like in high school, college. So maybe it was just something that I didn't realize when I was younger, or maybe it just developed later on, but so interesting.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
Sarah, how old were you when you got like social media accounts? Like what grade were you in? Do you remember?
Because I wasn't supposed to have him, and I
Oh,
did
of
it
course.
anyways.
Yeah, love that.
And then
Love a rebel.
I got away with it.
Good for you.
Thank you. I think it was like 7th or 8th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
So,
interesting.
Yeah, and it was Instagram I got, and then I think I got Snapchat too during that time, which I definitely would not recommend for parents.
Yeah, hard no.
Don't follow in my footsteps. Terrible.
I convinced. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. So I think 7th or 8th grade, around that time.
When did you get it?
I want to say around the same time.
Yeah, I definitely got it 8th grade. I don't know, and I think also like when I got it, it was brand new. It had been out for like a year, 2 years max. When you got it, we were 4 years apart, so it had developed. It was a thing. I mean, it was a thing when I was around too, but it was like still the brown app with like the blue and.
I remember that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a good time.
Part
It's
of
a
me,
good time.
a part of me wonders if like social media has like had like a really big impact on like you know.
I think so.
I think it depends because like I think going into social media, my expectations weren't like, ooh, I'm gonna like go look at all my friends and see what. Like my feed ended up being mainly like puppy pictures.
Love it.
And like just like random
Horses.
No, it.
Oh,
No.
That
was
that developed later on in life.
Like that, I shoved that way down. I didn't want it. I didn't want that association.
She just walks around like a horse at home.
Stop it.
I'm just kidding. Sarah doesn't do that, but
No.
sometimes. Only in the stables.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I take it back. That doesn't happen. This is false news, fake news. Sorry.
No, but
My
I
bad,
don't
Sarah.
think social media for me, because I know it can turn really like
Yeah.
terrible when it starts to become like, oh, like what are my peers doing? How am I not achieving that? They look so good. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I had that in person. I didn't really need social media for that.
Yeah.
Like my friends
Fun.
were like really, really, really pretty growing up, and like they got all this guy's attention and like all of like that stuff, and like I was a character in 8th grade. And I'm like, I didn't need social media to like have those feelings about.
Sure.
Oh, I wish I was like that. You know?
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because I don't know, I don't know why I didn't like start struggling with it so much in college. I think the big thing was that like more life had happened and like more like strenuous events versus like I feel like I didn't have that hard of a high school career or a high school experience.
I would like to preface.
Yeah.
I don't want to cut you off.
No,
but I would
go for
like
it.
to preface. I think a lot of my anxiety as a child stemmed from like inconsistencies. So I didn't really have like a very consistent like system in place. So a lot of things, a lot of my panic attacks and anxiety would be around not really knowing what was happening and not having any control in my life. And I think that's really what stemmed. I don't think that there was like, and then I put a bunch of pressure on myself to then like achieve in high school and middle school and elementary school. And so I think my anxiety came about because I was trying to manage and struggle with ADHD and not knowing that I had that.
Yeah.
And so then you have all of this, and this is the therapist telling me.
Yes, love it.
But like when you have to manage all of these things, it's like a vicious cycle because you have the ADHD and you're trying to manage it, and then you get anxiety because you're not able to manage it and you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And then that causes your ADHD to be worse, and so you have like this giant cycle. And so I don't think your life has to be very hard for anxiety to manifest.
No,
but I
for
also
sure.
think that like just because someone has it young doesn't mean like your anxiety later in life
Yeah.
is any less.
Yeah.
I agree.
No.
Yeah.
Totally. Do you think that's how you dealt with like your anxiety, is like trying to like perform like
Oh yeah.
in high school?
Oh yeah. Even in middle school, I was trying to, win the affections of my parents in, an enormous amount of ways. It would either be like attention negatively by being like the black sheep of the family and trying to do things my own way.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then when that didn't work, then it'd be like, oh well, I get their attention this way, and so let me do this. And so then it's always this like, well, I need to achieve all these things in order to win what I thought I wanted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Hailey? How do you think, like, since, like, realizing, like, anxiety is a thing, have you dealt with it? Like,
Good one.
early forms of dealing with it.
Early forms of dealing with it, I don't think I really dealt with it.
Yeah.
Early forms of it. I don't think I really started to, like, take ownership of it and, like, actually, no. Yeah. I think I was just in denial for a really long time,
Sure.
and I don't even think it was something that I was even like it could be a possibility of. I love to self-diagnose myself
Yes.
with things, and so when I first started to go to therapy, I was like, okay, I think this is what's wrong with me. Can you test me? And she'd be like, okay, cool. No, it's not it. All right, cool. What about this? Nope. Cool. Great. What about this? And I think it was just like me trying to like rationalize what was wrong with me. And for some reason I thought like if I get a diagnosis, then everything will be good. And I remember she was like, okay, I'm just going to give you like I'm just going to give you this test, and like there's this many things that I know, I'm telling you, there's this many things on this, and like we're going to see what you score high in and like what we should do like moving forward. And I was like, okay. And I scored really high on, like abnormally high on anxiety, and like somewhat concerning high on like depression. And I was like, what are you talking about, lady? Like, get the anxiety part, but I'm a very like,
Bubbly person.
let's do, like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like when I think of depression, I don't think of me. Like, it's not what, so I was like super confused. And so it's just kind of something that I've like had to understand and like come to terms with, and like depression and anxiety is shown differently in so many people.
Yeah.
And I think what's like so wild to me is the anxiety and depression that most people like recognize is like so Hollywoodized.
Yeah.
Where it's like you can just see like it was wild to me to learn that there's so many different types, and so like trying to figure out like how like my body and my mind like portrays anxiety and depression is way different than how like yours would.
Yeah.
So trying to like find ways to like cope with it, and it's gotten better, so that's good. I still am confused about the depression part, but I mean,
don't relate.
I think it just comes in waves.
Yeah.
Did you
So-
go down like a TikTok rabbit hole of like?
No, I was like,
Information?
I think this lady's a liar. no
That impressed you.
disrespect, but I was like, I was just like in denial. It was
Yeah.
just like, no, I don't think that's true. Like, you could say I have this, and I'd be
Yeah.
like, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. But that I was like, I'm confused. So, but it's so interesting. And she was explaining to me how it, like, for some people it's very like prevalent and evident in their lives
Yeah.
every day, and other people's it's kind of just on the back burner because it's
Yeah.
a coping mechanism. And I'm like, you
That's
know
probably
me.
makes sense.
So, and especially extroverts like myself, we like literally try to mentally block any negative thoughts out of our brain. So in order to do that, we fill up our schedules and make ourselves so busy, and we have so like we fill our social schedule, work schedule, like anything, so that we have no time by ourselves in order to actually like think in our own thoughts.
Yeah.
Your eyes got big when you were like, extroverts is filling up their schedule. You were like, Sarah's an introvert, so I'm just
Yeah.
like, don't relate.
Yeah.
No, but I do relate. But on the opposite side of things, it's like I don't want to fill up my schedule. I hate doing it. But I also, at the same time, every time I am, like, left alone with myself, it's a tank. It's a real tank. So
Yeah.
I probably should be more like an extrovert and be like, let's fill up all my schedule. But then I'm, like, tired and depressed. And so it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's like a balance. I think
It's
it's
so interesting.
I think it's also hard too, because like you were saying, like the Hollywoodized version.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of people, or like Hollywood, like tells us that like your identity is in like your mental health, or
Yeah.
like that.
Like if you're
kind of
depressed,
They
you
make-
are depression.
Yeah,
Or
and
if
they
you
make-
have anxiety, you are anxiety.
They
Like
make depression-
that's your only personality trait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they make depressed people look so sad.
Yeah.
Like, they portray them like
But
so,
like
oh.
scientifically, it's proven that like you should actually be more concerned about your friends who like are happy all the time.
What?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you this.
People
I
say
don't
like you should
trust-
like check on your friends
Your
who are
happy
happy all
friends?
the time because because something's
They're
wrong.
probably not.
They're putting
happy.
up
That's
a
why I
front.
don't like Disneyland.
Oh, I love Disneyland.
Because, no, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
I'll go to Disneyland,
Sure.
but like every single time, I think all the workers are really creepy, and I don't like to talk to them because they're so happy, and I'm like, that's not realistic.
So Chick-fil-A is not your favorite restaurant.
What? Oh, because they're
I'm
always
just, like,
happy.
you
That's
know,
not true. I've
trying-
seen some unhappy
yeah.
Chick-fil-A workers.
Yikes.
Don't
tell
tell.
don't tell Carlos.
No, but I find like Disneyland, like anyone who's like overly happy, really makes me uncomfortable.
That is
I
so
understand
funny.
that to a certain degree. Sometimes I go to Chick-fil-A and I'm like,
I also don't like when people talk to me, so.
but
Okay.
out of respect and as a Christian, I have to be nice. Like I'm not gonna like punch somebody in the throat, but I'm
No,
just
of
like
course not.
sometimes I'm like, thanks so much, and they're like, my pleasure, and you're just like, oh brother, come
Brother.
on, just say you're welcome, and that's it.
Just be grumpy for
Just
once.
give me my food. No, yeah, I'm
That's
the
right.
worst.
You
Sometimes
go
I'm
to
just like,
Chick-fil-A and you're hangry. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's true.
majority of the time, probably.
Okay, let's transition into like, because we've kind of already talked about, but like therapy, like what made us get into therapy, how did we get into it, why, and how has that been helping?
Oh,
I got into therapy pretty young. I don't want to say pretty young because it's not like I was. Actually, okay, let me just start from the beginning.
Yeah, please tell us the story.
My parents tried to put me in therapy when I was like 8 or 9.
Okay.
Maybe that should have been a clue to me that like something was off.
Oh.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't remember why they put me in, but they were like, because I was really against it. I was like, why am I going to see this weirdo? Like, I don't want to see some dude. Like,
Yeah.
why are you dropping me off? Like, this is weird.
Yeah. Did they explain what it was, like what their
No.
goal
They just dropped you
was?
off.
No, she's like, you're just gonna talk to this man, and
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, and I think she like mentioned it was therapy, but like didn't really go into it, and
Yeah.
I wasn't really sure why I was there. And then I was also like, I'm fine. I'm a perfect human being.
Yeah.
Why am I going here?
Yeah.
Maybe they saw some tendencies.
not the
So I went to this guy for the first time, and he like walked me to this like donut. Also, I
What?
think
You
He
went.
took you out of the building? This
Yeah.
is kidnapping
Yeah.
at this point. This
So
is
let me
not
just say,
the
my
therapy
mom
session.
Left.
Wait, and it's a man?
Yes, my mom left, and this guy like walked. He was pretty much like, hey, like, do you want some donuts?
I feel like that is pretty similar to candy from a stranger.
Yeah. Sorry.
And of course, as a child,
What?
I was like, yeah, I do want a donut.
Of course you want a donut.
And-
Again,
Yeah.
candy.
And he's like, okay, do you want to walk me to this donut place? And I was like,
Yeah,
yeah.
do you also want to get in my white van, Sarah? And we'll take a drive down to the
I had-
donut
She
place.
had no choice.
No, I also worst stranger danger ever. Like,
That's true.
I would get in someone's van, so don't kidnap me.
Sarah, we need to practice this.
Wait, you have stranger danger or you don't have
No,
stranger
she
No,
danger?
does not.
don't.
Like,
Oh.
if somebody said, like, hey, I've got some candy in my van,
She'd get
be
in the
like,
van.
Candy. I love candy.
Free food. So we walked down, and he like tried to like talk to me about my life as we were walking down. I
At
was
the
like,
donut
this-
shop.
Yeah. And so we got my donut, and then by the time we went back, like my mom was there, and she picked me up, and we went home.
This must have been arranged already.
I think
he
it was.
said,
No,
I'm going
yeah,
to take her
yeah.
to the
I
donut
think it
shop.
Probably.
Was. He was like a real therapist.
I wonder if
He
it
was real.
I wonder if it was like, oh, let me like take her out of this like professional
Yeah.
environment,
Yeah.
so to
'Cause I
see if
was
maybe
so young.
she'll
Yeah.
like open
That
I
makes
up.
didn't
sense.
open up. Let's be clear there. He bought my donut, and
Sarah
We
said,
walked
I'm going
back.
to give him just enough for him to buy my donut, and then
Exactly.
I dip it.
So that was my first experience, and I was like, never again. And
Sure.
then high school, middle school. So it was around like 7th and 8th grade. My anxiety was so bad. I was like at my wit's end. Like my parents couldn't figure out what was going on. I was, struggling so hard, and it was just like an emotional roller coaster every single day. And finally, I was literally like to my parents, I was like, I need help. I need something. Get me help.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how I'm going to survive if I don't get it. So then they took me to the same guy.
The same
Hey, it's
guy.
me.
Hey, I'm
Yeah.
back. Can
So
I have a
this-
donut?
10 years,
This time,
5 years
no
later.
donuts, unfortunately.
Tragic.
This time it was in the office, and
Okay.
so like around 8th to 9th grade was when I like started to go for the first time. And I've been through more therapists than I have, situationships, boyfriends, you name it. I have been through them all.
Oh my God.
This guy I was with for like 2 years, and then like by the end of it,
The
I
therapist
The
or
therapist.
the
Yeah.
situation? Okay.
No.
I wasn't sure what we were talking about.
the therapist.
I was like, okay, what a change of thought.
No, I was by the end, and each therapist is different, and once
Yeah.
you have what you need,
Find
from
one that
them,
you like, yeah.
I was starting to feel like I was getting too much homework from this therapy session, and I wasn't really
Love that.
receiving what I thought I needed anymore.
Totally.
And so I took a break, and then, the anxiety and depression came back real hard, and so I was like, need to go back. And then I found this one guy, and he was like an old grandpa type. Loved him. And then, so I was with him for like almost a year. And I remember I was feeling better, so I was like, I'm gonna take like a month off. I'm gonna take a little break.
Little therapy
And so
break.
then I was like feeling the feels again. Like
Sure.
it was coming back. And so I like texted Kaiser's my insurance. So I texted Kaiser, and I was like, okay, like, can I get an appointment? Like, and they were like, oh, he retired.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say he died.
No.
I'm scared.
No, he retired.
Oh,
But it
is he
was
retired?
Such an
Dick.
emotional roller coaster for me, because I had like
Yeah.
bonded with this guy, and not like that, but like I made a connection,
Yeah.
and
We had a connection.
and I felt like he abandoned me all over again. So then I was like, now I gotta find a new guy.
Yeah.
I went through like 4 therapists in like the span of like a month.
Oh,
my
wow.
God.
Like
Gosh.
they were just like one
Trying it out
after
like once a
another.
week. Yeah, just going
Yeah.
for it.
And then I found another guy, an old grandpa type.
It's interesting that you've like up until this point you've only had male
Yeah,
therapists.
that is
Yes,
very
I know, it's
interesting.
insane. Like it was I only had like old men.
That's so
I had
interesting.
there was one
'Cause that's
like,
definitely not
trial
my
run that I had
first
with a
pick.
woman.
Yeah.
Awful.
Interesting.
Awful. She talked like a robot like the entire time.
Yeah, you gotta find somebody that like.
And then she told me that she's like, you gotta put in the work for therapy. If you don't, like, you're not gonna get what you need out of it. She was intense.
I mean, that was very. I feel like there's definitely
Yeah.
a way to
There's
word
different
that better.
approaches. Yeah.
So I was with this old guy for like 2.5 years, like in college. So I'm like now in college, like my second year in college. He was a great guy, but I felt like, we were getting the rut of like the same thing over and over again. So I was like, maybe I don't need it anymore. Maybe I'm cured.
Yeah.
I think, yay.
Love that.
And so I took a hot minute. I took a little break, and I was like, maybe no.
Mm-hmm.
And then this past summer, I was like, man, oh man, it has been. Actually, was it this past summer or the year before?
I think it was the year before.
I think it was the year before. I've been with this. Been with the lady all over a year.
Love that.
Okay. And it was just like I was desperate. At this point, I was like, I need therapy now. I don't
Yeah.
care who it is. Get me in a room with someone. Like
Mhm.
I'm like drowning. So I reached out. This is the first time I've ever done any counseling that wasn't like through Kaiser. Like it's a Christian counseling.
Yeah.
And so like that was such a different experience. Like they prayed over, like not
Yeah.
they, like the person prayed over me for like our first session. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I had a young counselor, and it was the first time I had a woman counselor, and it was just like everything collided. Everything was perfect.
Yeah.
If this therapist retires, I
gonna
don't
be
know if I'll
sad.
recover. But
That's
yeah, so that has been, I've gone through a lot, but
Yeah.
I really liked it.
But it seems like it's helped because
Oh,
you say
yeah.
like every time like you stop, like you notice a difference.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
what do you think it does for you that like
I feel like therapy has just, it gives me an outlet. Like, it gives me that opportunity, because I feel like I won't talk about a lot of things with my friends because I don't want to, you know, not burden them, but I personally feel like it's a lot when people tell me, like, all of these troubling things, and I don't want to put that on other people, and so I feel like then I'm holding things in, and then I'm, like, pushing them down, and I'm like, these things don't matter. Whereas, like, once a week, I'm able to vent about my feelings, talk about the things that I'm dealing with, and then it gives me a sense of, like, I think a lot of the times growing up I struggled with what is real, and what I'm feeling real, is like how someone is telling me I'm acting real, like what is real. I had a lot of, like, I don't really know what is real and what's not, and so talking with a therapist really helps to be able to be like, this is what someone said, is this real or not?
Yeah.
And then based on, like, how you know me, what is real, what isn't, and so that has helped me, because then it allows me to then not go into an anxiety spiral of, like, oh, this person said this about me, I must be this, blah, 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 and then I'm, like, feeling like a garbage human being. So it helps.
Yeah. I think that's the key, is, like, at least for me, like, therapy, like, points me to, like, okay, you're going in circles in your head of, like, this person thinks this about you, this person thinks this about you, this person said this, so that must mean they think this. And, like, my therapist is like, well, that's probably not true. Let's, like, talk about what's true, and, like, not about what's my head is, like, coming up with. Yeah. I don't know. What about for you? What's been your journey?
Well, I'm currently not in therapy right now. My therapist dipped, so your biggest fear happened to me. So that was great.
Oh no.
So now I think I'm just in the spot of, I'm just gonna wait it out.
No.
I don't like it from someone who's gone through a half a dozen.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. I just don't like to, like, I just poured everything I have into this woman, so it's like, I don't really want to do that again.
Sure.
So just struggling with that, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
But I started going to therapy a couple months ago. My mom encouraged me to go to therapy because my sister goes to therapy, and she's like, oh, I think this would be good for you. Because in 2020, it was just a lot of feelings and emotions for Hailey. There was just a lot of life changes were going on within, like, 2 weeks that were, like, a lot for me. And so just harbored all those emotions, kind of trying to figure out life, and then started going to therapy and, like, talking about everything that, like, had happened. And I remember after, like, my, like, I think it was, like, my third or fourth session, she was like, I think you have PTSD. And I was like, I was never in the army, lady. I don't know what you're talking about. And she's like, no, like, you can have, like, PTSD from, like,
it's trauma.
Just, it's just a form of trauma. She's like, it's not like, oh my gosh, you can't function. It's just, like, a very small form of PTSD, and it's not anything that, like, you can't work your way out of. But it was definitely, like, in my mind, I was like, what? And I remember going home and telling my mom, and she was like, what are you talking about? Like, it was just so, like I said, like, I feel like mental health has just become recognized a lot more recently within the past 10 years, I would say. And
10 years is giving it a lot of credit.
Yeah, maybe less than 10 years.
Yeah.
But, and so, like, our parents didn't go to therapy.
No.
They don't, like, it was just, like, whatever you're feeling is how you're feeling, and that's it. And so it was very interesting to, like, I don't know, like, everything would be like, I would say something, and then she'd be like, oh, well, that's probably, like, that's probably from this, and I'd be like, brother. So it was just an interesting experience. And so, like, I've learned a little bit about, like, what to, like, look out for, and, like, how to, like, figure it out, because a lot of it was, like, PTSD from, like, my relationship with my biological father, and, like, just, like, growing up to, like, 2 years ago, when that relationship ended. And so that has, like, affected, like, dating relationships and, like, how I move forward dating and, like, past relationships. And so it's very interesting. But it was definitely something where she was like, you can't really push this to the side unless you want to be, like, lonely for the rest of your life. Like, if you don't want to marry anybody and you don't want to be in a relationship, then, like, that's fine. Like, if you're okay with that, then, like, that's just, like, whatever. But if it is something that you want later on, like, down the line, then you're gonna have to put in the work, like, to figure it out, or else, like, your relationship's gonna be doomed. And I was like, yeah. So it's just been very interesting. So right now I'm not in therapy, so we'll see where that goes. But I'm, like, definitely, like, further down the line open to the idea of, like, going to therapy again. It's just, it takes a lot out of me to talk about feelings.
But I think that goes to the point of, like, how it's only been recently recognized. And so a lot of the things that we are, like, now learning is just such eye-opening things. And even I have to, like, I do deep dives. Like,
you do.
The pocket holes of TikTok and the internet. Into,
Sarah
like,
does her research.
Into mental health and, like, all the different avenues. And I think if you don't want to do that, therapy can be good to, you know, skip over that long hours of research. But I'm even having to tell my parents, oh, this is, I know that this wasn't a thing when you were a child, but this is a thing now. And I'm advocating for myself in this and this way.
Yeah. It is very interesting that there's still this, like, stigma of, like, oh, you go to therapy, like, what's wrong with you? Kind of thing. And versus, like, oh, you're going to therapy, like, good job, like, taking care of yourself.
It's very much,
That's something that I'm, like, in dating, I'm like, okay, like, how do I go about that? Like, how
That's
do
a
I
good point.
How do I tell someone, like, hey, like, I'm in therapy without them thinking I'm, like, a mental case? Like,
I think we just need to not give it so much power.
Yeah.
So, like, if it
like, don't be afraid to say it. Like, if it comes up in conversation, or be like, how was your day? Oh, my day was good. Like, had therapy today. Blah blah blah. I think if you like
it can't be a taboo subject.
Yeah. And I think
bring it in.
Like, one of those, I know you did red flags before in, like, dating. I feel like a red flag for me, someone who doesn't believe in therapy.
Ooh.
Because I'm like,
I guess
need
that's
someone
fair.
to go.
Yeah.
I need someone to go to therapy. I need
because that's what you need. Which makes sense. But also in the way, like, I think of it as, like, I don't know, if, like, someone's not a fan of therapy or talks bad about it, for some reason I just, like,
that's different
assign
than
that
believing.
with, like, oh yeah, I guess.
That's like,
what do you assign it with, though?
I just assign it with, like, not, like, okay, we don't talk about feelings. Like, we're, like, everything. Which
but that's a red flag. Like, if someone doesn't want to talk about feelings, like, that's not a good sign for dating stuff.
Yeah, good to know.
I've been doing therapy for, like, almost 3 years. And I think the best part of it is the consistency of it.
Yeah.
And honestly, getting worried about turning 26 and having to pay for therapy, like, with, like, because my parents have a really good, like, deductible right now. And I'm like, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to do therapy when I'm 26. But I think just having something to fall back on, especially, like, with stuff that's, like, come up, like, in the last almost 3 years that I've been doing it, it's been, like, really helpful to be like, okay, like, let's talk, like, let's have something to fall back on, kind of. Because it's I don't know, like, and growing up too, like, when I was in high school, I was like, oh, like, that person goes to therapy, like, there's something wrong. Like, it was a very, train again. There is a very negative stigma against therapy, and I don't know why. Like, I don't know where that comes from, that, like,
I feel like because people didn't used to go to therapy just for, you know, day-to-day problems. Not
it was
that
more of, like,
but, like, you're, like,
there's something wrong. Yeah, there's something wrong with you.
You are seeing people.
No, that's true.
It's very interesting. But it's like, I don't even know how you go about, like, breaking that stigma. I think, like, part of it is, like, making it a normal thing in conversation. Like, I'm not afraid to, like, tell people, like, oh yeah, I had therapy.
All my friends know about my therapy. I talk about my therapist
love that
all the time. Love her. I will like geek out about my therapist.
It would be really interesting if my therapist left, because you're right, like, I think I would be fine, like, talking to another person, but it's also kind of just exhausting to rehash everything.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I've gone through,
like, months of progress is now, like, for my case, like, months of progress is now just, like,
well, I've gone through, like, 12 therapists. And I went through, like, 4 in a month. I had to every single week rehash.
You stuck with it. I'm proud of you.
That's dedication. I would have been like, no, I'm done. This sucks. I'll just record
When
what
you're,
I
like-
said the first time and play it for him.
It's like when you're like so in the like bottom garbage.
Yeah.
I'm like, I
Is
gotta
that what
find
you had to
someone.
do though? Like just like talk about the same thing for 4
Yes.
months? Oh wow.
Yes, and it was
That
like
sucks.
the same thing, and telling them my problems. It was literally the worst. Like I would have a panic attack literally every single time.
Oh my
Yeah.
Especially the one right after my therapist left, after he retired. Still not over it.
I can't believe you did that. We gotta find this
and-
man.
How dare you retire?
And I know I never got to say goodbye. Anyways,
Send him a
after
postcard.
I was like still reeling. It was like a month later, and meeting like a new therapist, it was still so hard for me. Like I was still feeling like I was so sad. Like I was crying because I missed the first guy
Yeah.
so much. And yeah, it's just one of those things you gotta like buckle down and say like, okay, I'm in this for the long haul. I'm here
Sure.
to. It's like speed dating. I was speed dating all of these therapists.
Yeah.
Till I found like the right one, and I'm just now it's been such a gift because I can talk about my trauma like it's like a Saturday afternoon. Like
I
it's
love that.
it's very
Saturday
lazy. It's
afternoon.
just I used to
So it's
not
like,
be
let's
able.
get into it.
Yeah, like I used to not be able to without having like a huge panic attack and being like totally combust and like it was awful. Now
Yeah.
I'm like it's
No,
it's
normal.
casual.
You've talked about it so
Yeah.
much. What would you tell like high school Sarah looking back now?
Ooh, you're never gonna win their love. I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Oh
You're
my
doomed. Just kidding.
goodness.
I'm just kidding. I would tell her that people don't really change, and to not expect a change in other people. You need to expect that change in yourself, and to protect yourself in a way that moves forward instead of backwards. So being able to pretty much not consistently, I feel like it's one of those things if you've ever been in a type of relationship where like they're kind of awful but also kind of good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like you're never really sure which one you're going to get. And then like for a long period they're like really, really good and you're like, they've changed. They're better. They're amazing. And then they do that one thing again and it's like you're back before. And like that's something that I had to realize was like my expectations now need to change. I don't need to like be then being like, I want you to change, you're gonna change eventually. It's probably not gonna happen.
Yeah.
I need to then in myself be like, am I enough for me? Is God enough for me? And then move forward. Okay, I'm not gonna expect them to change. I need to move forward and do my actions as if they're never gonna change.
I know a couple people who need to hear that. That's a good word from Sarah.
Send them the podcast.
Yeah, I will. But
As someone who's
Listen
been-
from
Not
this
subtle.
time to this
Yeah,
time.
as someone who's been through 1,000 therapists, a psychiatrist, and many, many more.
wow.
Those, wise words from
that.
Sarah.
This has been good. I think like, you know, we're beginning the conversation of like mental health and therapy and like it's something that we'll keep talking about on the
Yeah.
podcast. Good, it's only season 2, baby. Okay. We do need to wrap it up, unfortunately. However, Sarah, welcome to the podcast. POV time.
POV time. I have a really good POV. I've
Okay.
been thinking about it all week.
She's locked and loaded.
I'm very
Yeah,
excited.
Yeah. How long does it usually take your?
Oh, Sarah's got a story.
No, just how long does it usually take them to pick their
just like-
POVs?
Oh, to pick their POVs.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
They
They
never
don't ever
tell
tell
us.
us.
They just have it ready.
How
to
long
go.
have you been thinking about this?
Long time.
Since
most
the
of my
start of the
life.
podcast?
So I have met many people in my life
Okay.
who don't believe indigo is a real color.
What?
Who just think it's darker blue. Now,
That's still another color.
No. My POV is that indigo is the same thing as orange, and it should be respected as such.
What?
Wait, what? Indigo is the same thing as orange? Indigo
Yes.
and orange are not the same color.
No, but what I'm
But
saying
on the
is,
same wavelength, is that
yes,
what you mean?
so people respect orange like it's a real color, but they don't respect indigo as a real color. Like when I tell people my favorite color is indigo,
They're like, oh, blue.
yeah, they're like blue, and I'm like, no, it is not blue.
What
Like,
color is indigo?
Is indigo that
No,
color
it is
of,
not.
of the writing on your
No.
of your
What
of your
color?
Harley
no. So indigo
Family?
is the mix between purple
and blue?
This
and blue.
color? No.
It's not that color.
No, that's like dark blue.
Send me something that's indigo. I'll put it
Okay.
up on the screen.
Okay, and then yellow and red, they make orange, correct? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But it would be like if I said my favorite color is orange, and they're like, "Oh, you mean
So
like
blue and
yellowish
purple.
red?"
Blue and purple is the
Indigo.
parents of indigo.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Alright.
That's an interesting
Yeah.
POV.
Indigo, green, and orange. They should all be respected the same.
Green.
Oh, I see what you mean. I see
Green
what
is
you
blue
mean.
and yellow. Understood. Okay.
Wow, that was a good one.
I don't know anyone who says that indigo's not a color though.
It's really
Gabby?
just, I don't think anybody talks
Gabby
about
doesn't
it.
Gabby does.
Oh,
She's not
Gabby,
respected as
you're
a color.
weird.
Gabby, you make me so really mad. Should probably stop. Wowza.
Do you have a POV ready?
I do.
Okay, let's hear it.
And I kind of thought about it because your mom.
My
brought it up.
mom?
Your mom brought it up
Oh.
briefly.
Mom.
I
inspired.
think crumble cookies are overrated.
Yes.
I don't think I feel like when they were all like poppin' like 2 years ago, I was really on the hype.
Yeah.
And like we would remember the only one that they had open around us was one in Fullerton.
Oh
And
my gosh.
so
Did you drive all the way to
we
Fullerton?
literally,
That's
me
insane.
and Jackie
It
and
was
my
hype.
sister Ashley and Jessica and Maddie and I think Mo,
Yeah.
we would all drive. And we would go to Crumble Cookies
Wow.
like once a week, maybe once every other
Once
week.
a week?
Yeah.
That's actually insane.
Because it was the only one around us, and now they have one open in Glendora, and it's just
doesn't
not
hit.
good. And they also, I will tell you, from 2 years ago till now, they have changed their recipes,
Oh, really?
and they're not as good as they were before.
That's interesting.
I will
My
say
friend
that.
used to work there, and so she would always give me her discount.
Mm.
She doesn't work there anymore, so I can say that. But that was the only thing that made it worth it for me.
I will say the chocolate chip cookie dough cookie is delicious, and the pumpkin chocolate chip cookie is also good.
Ooh.
Those are and they used to have a pink velvet one, which was made with whipped frosting. Now it's not whipped frosting, and it's
no.
yucky.
Well, I
Those are
liked
my
the
top
original
ones.
sugar cookie, and that was it. Like, that one is so good. It tastes
Okay,
like
your
Christmas.
tastes,
Boo.
Adam's
Bland.
world.
Bland.
No,
I just get attacked
on salad
out of nowhere.
blows my
I
mind.
feel like she has the taste
of a 2-year-old. No,
Either
but
a
a 2-year-old has
2-year-old,
a bigger palate.
either a 2-year-old or like a 75-year-old man
yeah, actually,
who
a
lost all of his
75-year-old
taste buds.
man.
in
Yes.
What the heck?
Butter
And has
pasta?
dentures. Buttered pasta.
Listen, I just, like, know what I like, and I like what I like.
Okay. That's a
What
choice.
you like is garbage.
Yeah.
Says
I'm
the
just kidding.
one
Go ahead, try to roast me. I'd
who
love to.
thinks that Coke and Pepsi taste different.
They do.
They do.
and-
Why are you trying to roast me
No,
right now?
Literally, they do.
They do. They're two
Yeah.
different products.
Yeah. It's so weird to me
With
because
different ingredients.
I need sauce on literally everything, and you can't, like, you just don't
can't.
like it.
It's sauce. It's an
I ate
acquired
Chick-fil-A with
palate.
no ketchup today. It was just plain chicken.
Dry chicken.
No, Chick-fil-A makes their chicken good, so I don't need any
not
sauces.
gonna
Did you wash
convince
it
us.
down?
Did I
with
wash
anything?
it down? Are you trying to say
Throat was all
Was it
dry.
Pepsi or was it Coke?
They only
You
sell
don't know.
Coke products there.
I washed it down with water.
So garbage.
Okay, you need water. I once met
do need
someone
water to
in
live.
college who never drank water. Like, they were like, the taste of water, like, grosses them out. So they would only drink,
they're
like,
child.
I have a
juice.
friend like that doesn't like
Oh.
plain water. She has to have flavored water.
That's weird.
Yeah, or she drinks tea in order to get like her.
That's
water.
weird. How does your body not like the taste of water?
It's just too bland for her. I
That
guess.
doesn't make
I don't
any
know.
sense.
No, that's a child. Sorry.
All
That
right.
might be too
Okay,
much
my
of a
POV, my POV is that nothing exists between.
That's it.
Nothing exists. Poof. That's the end of the episode. Nothing important. Well, let me think about this. I need a map. I need to pull up a map because I don't know.
Is she gonna say nothing important exists between California and Tennessee?
I hope
Whoa,
not.
that's a
hope
little.
not.
Okay,
Oh,
nothing.
I know what she's gonna
nothing
say.
important exists between Morro Bay and Gilroy. There's nothing. There's nothing.
So specific.
All that's out there is farms,
It's true.
Nothing important? Do you know what's on those farms, lady?
horses.
Horses.
Oh, she's
Okay, sorry. Let me rephrase my POV. Don't put nothing important in my POV. Hailey, please put nothing exists between Morro Bay.
Do you know what exists? Horses.
Yeah, but
She's
Do
just talking like
they?
it's not developed land. Like it's literally
Do
just
they?
like a
That
couple
farmland's
houses.
important.
No, it's not even farmland.
I'm not saying it's not important.
It's literally like if
It's
you're
just
going,
a
like you're
field of
driving through
nothing.
Palm Springs and it's just that desert. Like that's literally what it is. But imagine just like grassy hills, but like dead grass.
Like how?
That's it.
How is there a
like a
California
horror movie in the
housing
making.
crisis, but there's like no houses for
Because
like
no one wants to live there
300
because it's
miles.
not civilized.
So why don't we civilize it?
Nobody
No,
wants to live
I think
there
that
because
land
it's-
is still pretty expensive.
Maybe.
Well, probably because you have to buy like 1,000 acres at a time.
Yeah.
We'll get down to the bottom of this one day.
But
until then.
But like, how
Let's
is
buy a
the
house
middle
there.
of California any different than LA? The only difference is because there's civilization in LA. So just build civilization out in the middle of California. Boom,
That's gonna
housing
take
crisis
years.
solved. That's
they should
fine.
have been doing that years ago.
They really should have. They should have thought of this.
All right, we'll talk to the governor.
Well, he's better be
or
retiring
the
soon. I
president
think.
or somebody. Jesus.
Dr. Joe Biden. He's not a doctor. Joe Biden. He just got impeached. Well, he's gonna be impeached.
All right, I'll
watch
save
the
my
news.
thoughts for later. All right, this has been a great episode this week.
Has it? No, I'm just kidding. It actually has been a really
She
good
like
episode.
dozed off and she was like, "Has it?" Thank you so much, Sarah, for coming on.
It was my pleasure.
Maybe
Have
we'll
me on
see.
again.
Maybe they'll see some of you
On
in the next
season
seasons.
5.
If my episode does really, really, really well, you have to bring me on as like a permanent co-host.
Whoa.
Whoa, all right.
Whoa, she's trying to take
She's
our
trying-
job.
She's trying to sneak her way on.
all right, we'll
well,
see,
chair
Sarah.
guy has been freaking absent.
I know. I
So-
was
He's
like,
been here a couple
You've
of
been
times.
talking to no one.
We've been talking to no chair guy.
He's been here a couple of times.
I mean, he has, but we haven't been talking to him.
No, he
just
sits
sits
in
there.
the corner.
That's so boring. We need chair guy to do stuff.
He's just
Hire
he's
me.
I heard he's going through a hard time.
Yeah, I know he is.
You should have cut him some slack.
I should cut him some slack.
Yeah.
That's fair. I know he is going through a lot. But she's also
His
like,
fish just died.
his fish just died?
Did you not text him about that?
Yeah. Well, I texted her about it.
All right. All right, guys. We'll pray for chair guy and the fish. All right. It's been a great week. We will see you next Tuesday
On POV.
with Hailey Brie.
POV with Hailey